I don't have mama, can I spend a day with you, ma'am? The glass tower of Sterling Industries pierced the gray December sky like a needle of ambition. Inside the 52nd floor, Victoria Sterling, the youngest female CEO in the city's history, stared at her reflection in the floor-to-ceiling windows. At 32, she had built an empire, conquered boardrooms filled with men twice her age, and earned respect through sheer determination. But today, something felt different. Today, she couldn't shake the feeling that success meant nothing when you had no one to share it with. "Ma'am, your 3 p.m. meeting has been moved to tomorrow," her assistant announced through the intercom. Victoria barely acknowledged the words. For the first time in years, she decided to leave early. As she stepped into the marble lobby, the familiar click of her Louboutin heels echoed in the vast space. But then, near the revolving doors, she noticed something that made her freeze. A small figure sat huddled against the wall, a little girl, no more than 7 years old, with tangled brown hair and clothes that had seen better days. What struck Victoria wasn't the child's appearance, but her eyes. They held a depth of sadness that no child should ever carry. "Excuse me, sweetheart," Victoria knelt down, her designer suit touching the cold marble floor. "Are you lost? Where are your parents?" The little girl looked up, and for a moment, Victoria saw her own childhood reflected in those hollow eyes. The girl's lips trembled as she whispered words that would change everything. "I don't have mama. Can I spend a day with you, ma'am?" The question hung in the air like a prayer. Victoria felt her carefully constructed walls crumble with 6 simple words. This wasn't just a request, it was a desperate plea from a soul seeking connection in a world that had failed her. "What's your name, Angel?" Victoria asked softly, sitting down completely now, forgetting about her expensive suit. "Emma," the girl replied, clutching a worn teddy bear. "I live at St. Catherine's home, but today is family day at school, and everyone has someone coming except me. I saw you walking and you look like what I imagine a mama would look like." Victoria's heart shattered. She remembered her own childhood, the boarding schools, the nannies, the parents who were always too busy building their empire to notice their daughter's need for love. She had sworn never to let work consume her the way it had consumed them, yet here she was, 32 and utterly alone. "Emma," Victoria said, making a decision that would surprise even herself, "would you like to have the best day ever?" The transformation in Emma's face was instantaneous. Her eyes lit up like Christmas morning, and she nodded eagerly. What followed was a day that neither of them would ever forget. Victoria cancelled all her meetings, something that would have been unthinkable just hours before. They started at a toy store, where Emma's wonder at the simplest things reminded Victoria of magic she had forgotten existed. They had lunch at a small cafe, where Emma carefully used her napkin and said, "Please," and "Thank you," with the politeness of a child raised by caregivers rather than parents. "Why are you being so nice to me?" Emma asked over hot chocolate, marshmallows floating like tiny clouds in her cup. Victoria paused, realizing she was asking herself the same question. "Because," she said finally, "sometimes the universe puts people in our path when we need them most. Maybe I needed you as much as you needed me today." They spent the afternoon in Central Park, where Victoria pushed Emma on swings and taught her how to make snow angels. For the first time in years, Victoria laughed, really laughed, the kind of laughter that comes from pure joy rather than polite business interactions. As evening approached, Victoria realized she didn't want the day to end. When she dropped Emma back at St. Catherine's, the little girl hugged her tightly. "Thank you for being my mama today," Emma whispered. Victoria felt tears she hadn't shed in years streaming down her face. "Thank you for reminding me what's really important, sweetheart." That night, Victoria made phone calls that would change both their lives. She contacted lawyers, social workers, and began the adoption process. 6 months later, Emma Sterling was no longer the little girl who begged strangers for a day of love. She was the daughter of a woman who had discovered that true success wasn't measured in profit margins or stock prices, but in the happiness of those we choose to love. The Sterling Industries boardroom now had a small corner with coloring books and crayons. Employees often smiled when they heard Emma's laughter echoing through the halls after school. Victoria had learned to leave work at 5, to attend school plays, and to tuck her daughter in every night. Years later, when asked about her greatest achievement, Victoria Sterling would always give the same answer: "The day I learned that being needed by someone who chooses to love you is worth more than all the success in the world." Emma had asked for one day. Victoria gave her a lifetime. And in return, Emma gave Victoria the greatest gift of all, the chance to be someone's whole world, and the discovery that love, once given freely, multiplies beyond measure. Sometimes the most profound changes in our lives come not from boardroom decisions or strategic planning, but from the courage to say yes when a small voice asks for nothing more than a moment of kindness.